welcome to the Poets Lounge. I am your hostess, Paulette Henson, and I'm super excited for this evening. We're just about to launch our show in about 30 seconds, so we'll give it just a little time if there are any other poets that are looking to join us this evening. But before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to the poets that have supported this effort, for the past year or so, and that would be Miss Tina Jackson, welcome, and Mr. Christen Foster, welcome, Christen. And also our new poet joining us today, that would be Mr. Michael McQuilllan. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And so as we get started this evening, we are going to go around the table and everyone can submit their poem or speak it, and we'll just enjoy each other this grand Friday, November 1st, 2024. And poetry is life. So let's get into it. And who do we have up first for this evening? Is that going to be Christen? Would you like to go first?
Sure. I would like to go first. Yes.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Okay, so go ahead, take it away.
Okay. Unshackle your mind. Break free from the iron gates of orthodoxy, where thoughts are caged like restless birds. I've seen too many minds grow docile, fed on pre-chewed sanctioned words. Question everything they tell you is sacred. Tear down the temples of absolute truth. There's wisdom in the spaces between certainties, in the wild gardens of eternal youth. They call you dangerous, call you mad, when you refuse to bow to their command. But better to be lightning than a lightning rod. Better to soar than safely stand. Let your thoughts run naked in the streets, dance with demons, dine with doubt. The universe expands with every question asked, each dogma challenged inside out. Your mind's a weapon they cannot disarm, a flame they cannot hope to tame. So burn bright against the darkness of conformity and never wear their chains again. In the marketplace of borrowed ideas, be the one who mints their own, for truth lives not in the dusty tones, but in the questions boldly thrown. Let others clutch their comfortable lies while you embrace the vertigo of flight. In freedom's dizzy atmosphere, every star becomes a guiding light.
Wow, I love that. Awesome, awesome. So give us a little bit of inspiration on that poem.
It's about being a free thinker, not conforming. It's from a conversation I had with somebody on social media about, just thinking for yourself and, being programmed when you were young to, think and, live like everybody else and, fitting in and not fitting in and feeling like an outcast.
Yes, yes, I like that because, you know, I think it's safe to say that times have changed from when we were young, and um, conformity was a huge point in that. And so we were, led by rules, and that's what we grew up with. And so it was sort of different. The freedom today as to, building your own personality, being that creative thinker and going with those thoughts. It's more open today than it was, in the past. So I like that reflection of that because that is where we are today. And I'm happy that we're there today because conformity is really someone else's thinking, right? So thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And welcome, PJ. Okay, so who would like to present next?
I'll go next.
Hi, Tina. Welcome.
Thank you.
All righty, go ahead.
So this poem, it's called You Sold Your Soul. And it just comes from, I was hearing different celebrities say they sold their soul for fame. Like Katy Perry was one, she said it in an interview, and some other people, and it just disturbed me. So I
Yeah.
wrote,
Nice. Okay.
yeah, people want fame and money so bad, they don't realize in hell the flames won't compare to the temporary fame that they had. They want it so bad that they will sell their very soul. But guess what? In the day of their death, they will owe. Satan has upped the ante. He ain't playing. Better get saved. Hey, I'm just saying. The devil is killing young and old alike. Just like the serpent, he's ready to strike. Death bells are toiling. Satan's body is coiling. But people are weak. Their soul is the price. They're tricked into believing Satan is nice. They are willing to sell their soul, only accepting what Satan is giving. The win is eternity. In the lake of fire they will be swimming. They thought Satan was fake and can't take the burning and the yelling, but this is the price that they will be paying.
Wow. Wow. Love that, Tina. That is, you know what that makes me think of? That makes me think of P. Diddy and his
Yes,
whole, empire of just evilness.
yes, yes,
And and so it speaks to a lot of that. And I think that people, they get so much money and they get caught up, they sort of lose themselves, they lose
right.
their core values. And then they're
Mm.
tricked, I would say they're tricked into
Yeah,
being somebody that they're not. And,
yes,
and then that becomes attractive and, luring them into, something that they can't get out of. And,
yeah,
and it's unfortunate because it happens to a lot of talented, genius type people. So it
it
makes you
does.
wonder, like, what happened? Where is that breaking point where they just say, you know what? Forget about my morals, forget about
Yes,
everything, and I'm just gonna go and, go with whatever flow that someone tosses at me,
exactly.
right?
Yes,
And then you're looking at them like you had everything. I mean, in his case, you literally have the world at your fingertips to do what you want. And I think that it's safe to say there's so many good things to do that you
yes,
can have access. I mean, go to the moon. That's $1 million ticket. Do something like that. Be the first at some good things to, promote to our youth, not all of these ugly things. It's wow,
it's
wow.
so true. Because he could help. He's a billionaire. I mean, he could help so many youth. He can just help people start businesses. I mean, it's endless. And to see
Right.
what he's done is just, it's like sickening.
It is. It
Dang,
really
really?
is. It's a waste of talent. And
Yeah.
and 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 in order, like, you had all of these people that looked up to you, and you
Yes,
could have led them in to where, like you said, build their careers, and that would only lift you up even higher because
yes,
you are seen as this person that, can find some sort of good talent in people and to help
yes,
them to build on that. But he exploited that in the wrong way. And so, like I
yeah,
said, it seems to happen to a lot of genius type people. Maybe the fame gets too big for them and they can't
mhm,
handle it and they don't get help. So
yeah. They don't get help.
and drugs and alcohol is not the help that you need,
Mm-mm.
right?
That was
So,
so crazy because I watched a documentary where they said, he would keep her and himself high all the time. But the reason why they looked good was he would fly these doctors in to inject them with natural supplements to keep them good.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
It's
dang.
crazy. Yeah. Like who knew you can even do that? I mean, everyone else, that lives that lifestyle, they have to deal with the repercussions until their body can regenerate and look better. They don't have
Exactly.
that luxury to, get an IV and whatever
Mhm.
else you need to make yourself look like you haven't done drugs
Thank
all night. So it's wow,
crazy. I
amazing.
said he could have used the doctors to inject people that are really sick and those supplements would
Right,
help them.
right,
But they'd
right,
rather do that.
right. Wow.
Meanwhile, regular drug addict is looking all strung out and horrible because they don't,
Right,
like you said, they don't have that to be able to take.
right. Yeah, it's awful. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. That was a great poem in light of, and it just reminds us all that, how grateful we are to, although we may want that fame and glory, it's scary. It's a scary place because there's a lot of evil out there. So thank you for that. Okay, so Mr. Michael, go ahead. You're up next.
Thank you for having me. And Tina, Christian, due respect to you both. And I take the liberty of sensing a convergence or a harmony between the work that you each presented. And I hope
Yeah.
you will find what I offer in a moment congruent with where you're coming from. Because I like to think with this critical election and the urgency of the vote, and the fact that the Citizens United decision of the Supreme Court greatly expanded the power of greed to our detriment. We're all in this together. And
Yeah.
in that vein, um, I wrote this poem, which is called Welcome, from reflecting on the fact that I grew up on the Upper West Side of Manhattan in New York City long before gentrification, when it was normal to have
Yeah.
friends of different colors, creeds, and customs. It was expected that one would be politically active for the common good. Now we have an age of brand building. We don't hear of common good. And we
Right.
hear of a lot of other hateful, dictatorial things that have no place in our culture.
Right.
Now I live in Western Massachusetts,
Oh,
which
wow.
is liberal in its politics, but white in its identity. And this poem is called Welcome. It's based on what I thought was a reality, but it became a dream when I awoke. And it goes like this: Aged eyes squint to see sturdy trees through frosted windows quadrant frame. First light proclaims day's possibility. A van's sleek chassis emits surprise when open doors disgorge from either side a father with his son who have come to inspect the vacant space nearby. Details intrigued my writer's eye. The youth's polo shirt of navy blue plus dad's necklace laced with shells. Cocoa skin they share. I'd welcome any neighbor, but there's been little color here. 40 years in Brooklyn among 200 nations folks, modeled values all profess. To learn from diverse cultures or lend a hand with need, plan to meet the common good or heal the ones who need. That way of life appeals. But in the rustic setting where I spend elder years amidst autumn's crimson amber hues, most people's pigmentation, like my skin and hair, is white. This affects perspectives on the causes of the struggles of the world as stereotypes hold sway. To take one side in conflict in our cities or abroad dehumanizes others, while our group we falsely laud. Putin and Hamas are evil, but I cry for the Russian soldier who did not want to go. and for the Gaza parent whose fate we do not know, while our homeland's prejudice and bigotry endure. While as a Jew I endorse Israel's right to self-defense, I am bound to find it in my heart to make the stranger welcome, whether times are hard or soft. I oppose the universal tolerance for the normalcy of war. I dispute the calculations of the cynics whose game theories make us pawns, obliterating lives. And after gazing out my window, yearning, I'm shaking at finding that what I thought I'd seen for real was but a vivid dream. My true new neighbor is an old white man like me. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. I love that, Michael. And I felt the passion in that. And just to comment on where we are today, it's frightening because our democracy is at stake. I mean, some of the language that is being spoken and talked about, it's unbelievable that we are here and it seems like, there's a narrative that's trying to regress us back to a place that we fought so hard to get away from. And so I think that a lot of people don't understand the magnitude of the severity of this election and how it's always been important, but it's more important now than ever because we really don't know if Trump wins. We have a glimpse. He's already told us pretty much what his plans are, but the state of our nation is at stake. I will say that. And that's a scary feeling. Like, what do we do? Where do we go? Wow. Anyone else have any comments or, what's your thought on that? Number one, we have to vote. Everybody, we have to vote. And so we talk about the peaceful transfer of power. This is something that Trump raised in a discussion. And my thought was, well, you're not in power right now. So why should we even be discussing the peaceful transfer in power? The transfer is from President Biden to, hopefully Kamala Harris. You're not in that transfer because you're not the leader at this time. And that told me that there is a disconnect, that he thinks that he is running the country, or at least his portion of people, he thinks that he's in control. And so when he mentioned that, it made me feel like, are we going to have another episode to like January 6th? So it's scary times. It's scary times, and I thank you for writing that because that's what it made me think about. And so if you tell me your thought and your inspiration behind it when you had to have felt some type of overwhelming feeling to write that.
Thank you for your heartfelt words, both about the poem and about the high stakes in this election contest. I think what we do matters always, but particularly now in the few remaining days before the nation makes its decision. For my part, I sent, and I'm not holding this up as any paragon of virtue, no, but just to find something concrete that I could do to help in a small but meaningful way. I sent 200 postcards to low turnout districts in Florida earlier
Mm,
this summer. And now for each of the past 11 days, I've devoted 1 hour to phone banking to low turnout districts in the Charlotte area in North Carolina.
wow.
Because if Harris is to win, which I now think, thank you, which I think she will,
Yeah.
um, uh, the turnout in the cities has to be maximized,
Yes.
particularly among groups that tend to turn out less than other groups.
Yes.
And I guess looking back at age 71, I devoted my career working in the US Senate, teaching high school history, and being a community organizer in some low income neighborhoods in New York to trying to find different ways to advocate for social justice in the sense of trying to do something to help somebody in some group other than the groups that I was born into.
Yeah.
And I think looking
Right.
back now in my immediate present, I think that may be what moved my hand to write the poem. And thank you for
Wow.
permitting me to share it. And
Wow.
thank you all for hearing it.
Yes, thank you for
Right.
your service and commitment to a better America. Because I think that collectively, that's what we all have to do. We all have to be proactive into the greater good for everyone, and we embrace each other's diversity. We embrace that. I love diversity because it introduces me to culture, it introduces me to food, different types of food, which is the basis of any culture's connecting. I think, when you sit down and share a meal, it just opens up so many doors, and you're able to enjoy and laugh and get to know each other on a different level. And so I commend your work and your commitment to just people, good people. And I think that's what we're about. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so PJ, are you speaking tonight? Let's see if she can hear me. Hi, are you speaking tonight? Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, so
Can I just make one quick comment to the gentleman?
yes, to Michael. Okay, yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to say I too grew up on the Upper West Side of Manhattan in the 70s and 80s. We lived on 84th Street off of Amsterdam as a kid, and then when I got older we moved to 66th Street in Amsterdam. So I know Manhattan pretty well, and it seemed like being when I was young then it was fun growing up there, but as I got older and like the gentleman said with the regentification and just even though it was such a melting pot, it just seemed like so many people just clashed. And you
Mm,
could almost like just feel it as the years went on. It's like it just got worse and worse. And I have to admit it, I'm one of those people that's kind of ignorant when it comes to politics because I always looked at it like, well, what if there's no one truly good in office, what difference is it gonna make? But having witnessed the Trump era, I realized, my God, it can become so much worse. And it is very important that we vote, and pray for the next leader to just do a better job than the other leaders
yeah.
because we need to come together as a country. He Trump has divided people so much. It was just literally shocking. Like you see the hate coming out of people that you never really saw that before,
Mm-hmm.
not to those levels.
Right,
And I said, this man should not even be able to even speak to us anymore. The
right.
fact that they are still allowing him media coverage and all these things, it's
Yeah.
just knows how bad things are.
Right.
How did he have this much power?
Exactly.
And when I look at him, he just reminds me of a Nazi,
Yeah. Yeah.
dictator. He's a
Yeah.
dictator.
Yeah.
So we definitely got to get out and vote.
Yeah, for sure. And that's his whole narrative is to dictate, to control, to, make things better for billionaires and leave everyone else,
Yes,
to
out to
fend for
rot.
themselves, to take away any rights that we would have. This whole thing about women's rights and wanting to control women. It's it's amazing that we're even having this discussion, that we even need to go there when there's so many other important issues, like we have a hunger crisis amongst
Yeah.
children or amongst people. We have a housing crisis because
Yes.
things are so expensive. We have the crisis of fuel and people not being able to afford an electric car, but the gas cars are so expensive to drive. I mean, especially I'm in California. And so you either are going to spend money on an electric vehicle, or you're going to spend money in gas, and so and it's expensive on both hands, so Christen, you had a comment, go ahead.
Yeah, so me and my coworker at work were having conversation about this exact topic. He was telling me that, the different outcomes that could happen if Trump gets in office or if Kamala gets in office, and how the country's divided, and they're bringing in all these people from other countries that don't really, and giving them all these different benefits that American citizens, they desperately need a lot more. And in my city where I live, I see there's a housing crisis too, because I've actually experienced it myself, when it comes to homelessness and having needed a place to live, and going from shelter to shelter, and there's all these different issues with drugs and opioids and people needing help, but all those benefits going towards migrants and people who are causing problems.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. It's a mismanagement of our social systems, and we have allowed people come here, for a better life, and that's the way it's sort of always been, for a better life, for freedom. And our social systems, that number of people that are here, they've outgrown the social systems that are available to the people that were already here. And so a lot of people, they fall through the cracks, the ones that are here, and we don't get those benefits. For example, you have people that will come here on work visas. They're able to get loans, business loans, and to, build a business. And where some people will struggle, never being able to get a business loan, never being able to, utilize those opportunities that should be for everyone, but they're not. And it's awful. And those are important issues. Homelessness is an important issue. Mental illness is an extremely important issue. That's not even, it's talked about now since we had the pandemic, because everybody, went through some sort of mental shortfall, we'll say, when you're watching millions of people die every day. And so that right there, just for any person or somebody that lost someone in like 2 weeks because of COVID, they just left. There was, I did a report on this in one of my classes where I think the number was, I don't know, 80,000 people. And so I showed the analogy of the Dallas Cowboy, the Arlington Stadium. That seats 80,000 people. And I think they kept saying those numbers every day, but in our mind, we couldn't really see what that looks like. And so when you go and you say, okay, you look at the Dallas Cowboys and you look at that stadium when it's packed full, that's how many people died in one day. And when the people that I was presenting this to, when they saw that, they were just, they couldn't believe it, because for the first time you could visually see this is what 80,000 people look like in one setting, gone today. So all of those people. And so when you talk about people that experience, I will go back. When you talk about the pandemic and what that caused people, people were already going through things prior to the pandemic. It was mishandled. And then you had an economy that just warped. It went sideways. And so you had businesses closing, left and right. The small business owner, the barber, the hairstylist, their businesses were wiped out during that period because people were afraid to go get a haircut, for fear of getting the disease and dying. And so then it forced people or businesses to embrace working from home. They didn't want to embrace that before. And now they see that it's actually, they save money by having their employees work from home because their overhead is reduced significantly. So it makes you think like, wow, sometimes do we really have to go to the extreme of near death or death experiences in that magnitude for people, businesses, corporations to see what works and what doesn't, a lot of people, as a single mother, this was something that I talked about at my job, about trying to get businesses to incorporate working from home, especially for parents that have children that need to take their children to school, pick them up. They need that flexibility. They can't afford daycare. Daycare is like a mortgage payment now. I don't know how these young people do it. And so it took for a pandemic for these companies to acknowledge things that were important to people. And so to your point, Christen, these are serious topics. And these are what you call break room conversations, right? Because they're important, because we have to talk about these things because they're relevant. They're happening around us. Seeing more and more people homeless when you go to the store, more and more people living in their cars at the store in the parking lot. I'm seeing more and more of that. Why is that? Why? When we're supposed to be the richest country, right? So I won't go further into this, but thank you for bringing that point, because we have to have these tough conversations, and we have to vote for people that are in line with those conversations that care about the people. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate for mental health and homelessness because whenever I go out, I do see people sleeping inside train stations and inside the park. Last winter, I saw a couple of people sleeping inside the bank where people use the ATM machine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very sad, very sad.
A
Thank you for
friend of
that.
mine called me yesterday and he does security. So he said there were going to be some evictions yesterday on Halloween. So they wanted him to go over and make sure that people didn't go crazy and stuff. And he said it was so horrible because the majority of people that were being put out was women and children.
Mm,
And he said the mothers are crying, the kids are crying, they just want to have fun on Halloween, and they're becoming homeless.
right.
I
Wow.
just was like horrified because I
Yeah.
know I've been close to being homeless a few times.
Wow. Wow.
Ridiculous.
Well, thank you, Tina, for that. And I want to welcome Mr. Warren Swagtastical Dixon Jr.
Got
Thank,
it. Good,
thank you
good
for
Warren,
joining
pronunciation.
us. Do you have a poem for us?
I do, but I tell you what, if you guys give me 1 second, because I'm not necessarily settled yet, so
Okay.
let me just get into a spot and whatever, and then I'll share my
Okay.
poem.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. We will, let's see. Who do we have up next? Kristen, did you want to go ahead and deliver yours while Warren is getting ready?
Yes, I'll do one last piece because I do have to go soon. I'm going to be hosting my own poetry workshop, teaching poetry to people. So,
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
Wonderful.
Go ahead and put that in
okay.
the chat for us.
Okay, let me send the Zoom
yeah,
link.
Okay.
One second.
Okay. Or you can do it after you give us your poem, and then that way we can
Okay.
keep moving. Okay.
All right. Black tea, poetic black tea, poetic flow, poetry, dark, deep, authentic, eccentric, young, old, age, unique, antique, creativity, plant seeds of poetry creatively. Water me, water us, water we. Black tea, kettle pot, spitfire hot, pour into you as you pour into me. Half full, never empty, smooth, calm, collected, simply sweet or plain, for you are the one I seek to obtain. When society threatens to drain, a sip of you removes the stress from my weary brain. There are no words that can explain the effect you have inside of me, other than you are my black tea. You are the essence of liquid expression, as dark as the skin cells in my melanin complexion. Black tea, you are the hallmark of perfection. Rejuvenation, the missing variable within the morning routine equation. Simply put, black tea, you're amazing.
Wow. Awesome. I love that. I love that. So tell us a little bit about that while Mr. Warren is getting together.
Yes, so it's just it was a writing prompt that I wrote about, describing tea and my experience, drinking and making tea.
Nice. I love that. I love that. Kristen, you are a genius. I love what you do. Um, I definitely, I love your website. Kristen has beautiful swag gear for his poetry. He
oh
has
wow.
canvas pieces that are beautiful to hang on your wall with poetry pieces. So Kristen, go ahead and share your website, and we're gonna go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Warren. It looks like he is ready to go.
Yes, I am. Um, So before I get started, once again, I want to say thank you, Paulette, for having me here. This is my first time, and hopefully it won't be my last time.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you guys so much. I do have uh a poem to share. I actually have two things to share, but since this is my first time, I don't know what the rules are. I don't know if I'm allowed to share more than one.
Yeah,
Uh,
we have an out, well, we have about 20 minutes and we kind of go around the table, so you definitely go for it.
okay. Um, yeah. So the first poem I'm gonna do. Um, I think you guys will actually like this poem. This is in reference to the election this coming Tuesday,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna urge everybody, if y'all haven't done so already, please go out and vote. Um,
yes, yes,
I know it's probably often easier said than done, but you guys don't realize how much your vote will definitely make a difference. So
yes,
please do that Tuesday.
yes. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So without further ado, this is called Jesus Didn't Vote Today. Here we
Nice.
go. Jesus didn't vote today, not tomorrow, not yesterday. Jesus didn't need the bullet or the ballot box or the bomb or bayonet or budget. Jesus didn't vote today. Jesus didn't authorize drone strikes to kill thousands. Jesus didn't occupy other countries with standing armies. Jesus was occupied by the Holy Spirit that occupies us even still. Jesus was occupied by the truth of radical love. Jesus was not a feeble, timid, compromised, casual, comfortable, middle class, or otherwise complacent approximation or estimation of the truth. Jesus is the truth.
Yes.
Jesus didn't vote today. Jesus is not totalitarian, surveillance, state, and war machine without end. He is the peace that passes understanding. He is the peace that Brother Berrigan said is at least as costly as war, the peace that cost the cross. Jesus didn't vote today, not for apathy, but because the lesser of two evils is still evil, is still the servant of the devil. Get behind me, Satan. Jesus didn't vote today. He said, render unto Caesar for a reason, for all our money is marked with the blood of war and idolatry of empire. Jesus didn't vote today. He did not advocate the separation of church and state. Jesus abolishes all separation and smashes all states. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Vote if you must on Tuesday, but feed the poor the next day and every day.
Yeah.
Vote if you must. Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, or Green. But live like the kingdom is here by practicing peace, justice, charity, mercy, grace, and most of all, love. Love is your everyday politics and what transcends your Sabbath piety. Jesus didn't vote today because his ballot is his body. Our evidence is this bread because his candidacy is on the cross, because democracy is not God, just our latest attempt at playing God. Jesus didn't vote today, but the gospel of radical love removed the log in the pundit's eye. That is the illusion that voting could or would repair, redeem, or restore the world. Jesus didn't vote today, but he did disabuse us of the lie that he did or would endorse or condone this scheme of things. Jesus died for our sins. He didn't vote for 4 more years of them. Jesus didn't vote today. Poem.
Wow.
Powerful.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank y'all so
Woo.
much.
What I got from that is that if we lived as Jesus did, there would be no need to vote. There would be no need for leaders. There would be no need for any of that, that everyone would be living the way they were according to helping one another as Jesus helped. And we would be so much better off.
Mhm. Right.
That was powerful.
That was.
Indeed.
That was, yes. Go ahead, Michael. Did you have a comment?
Yeah, Warren, first of all, thank you from the bottom of my heart, depths of my soul. Did I correctly hear you to quote Daniel Berrigan?
Yes, he did.
One of my heroes. Um, uh, I chanced to run into him, recognize him in a crowd in Manhattan on 96th Street in the Upper West Side once upon a time. And I say that not as a fan thing, but rather we stopped, and instead of pleasantries, he said, "What have you read lately that was interesting?" And I never forgot the question. And I'd been a reader even as a child and a teenager, but his question and my need to feel that my reading was worthy, spirit behind his question has been a lifelong influence. Not to mention his uncompromising stand against war and institutional racism and poverty. So thank you for holding up his name in holding up your name with your extraordinary analysis of the poem.
Yes.
Of course, I'm happy you loved it.
Yeah, that for me, when you're saying Jesus didn't vote today, and I think it made me feel that one that we are trying to there are those of us that want to align ourselves with Jesus Christ and the Bible and doing all of those things that help people that are positive and that we in turn receive those blessings for lending out that helping hand and being like him. And but it also makes me think of the torment and torture that he experienced because of that, because of him accepting and loving everybody, even when they tortured people, anybody that wanted to worship him or him, crucifying him. I mean, it was even back then when, they didn't want that good. The good was fighting the bad was fighting the good because those rulers and leaders at that time, they didn't want anyone better than them. It's all here we are circled back. It's the same thing. And so I love how you brilliantly put that together. And it just made me feel that there is a quote in the Bible that says we are killed all day long, all day. There's, trying the good, we're fighting to reach out to people, to help people, to love people, to support people. It's a constant fight. And so thank you. That was amazing. And I do want to say, Warren, that you have been on our show before. I
Oh,
remember
have I?
you.
Okay.
Yes.
I can't listen. I can't remember if I was or not. I've been to so many open mics until it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
tell whether or not it's my first time. So,
Yes, you were on
yeah, I didn't.
you were on the show before. You delivered a beautiful poem. It was about Black women, and it was amazing. And you had a presentation with that. And so I remembered you as soon as you
I
started speaking.
Yep, I do remember. So thank you for reminding me.
Yes, yes, thank you. Okay, so wow. I believe Tina, you are next.
Okay. Sorry, I have my grandkids here, so
It's
all
all
right.
Never
So this
apologize for having grandkids with
it's
you.
amen. Yes, yes. Thank you. Michael, right?
Whatever you prefer. I use both.
Okay, so this one is about my daughter's father who has passed away. And I believe sometimes you can feel someone when they passed on, you can still feel their spirit or something. And so that's what this is about. It's called Beyond the Grave. From beyond the grave, you visited me. If you only had arms, I'd feel you holding me. I smelled your scent, so strong, so sweet, the forbidden fruit that I dared to eat. I felt your energy, sensual and calm, just like a magnolia, a soothing balm. When I felt depression, I felt you nudging me. God, what here is the lesson? I cried so hard because I felt as if I died with you. I couldn't go on without you. I still feel your love, powerful, gentle, even from beyond. I know that you're gone because this body is a rental, but God will raise you up with a song. I'm just going through a mental. I just got robbed at your home going. Where was your body at? I just sat and sat looking at a video. Felt a rage and questioned God. Why God when he just got saved? Our daughter needs her father. But I had to face this is final. No coming back, the cards are stacked. Once again, my heart was shattered into a trillion pieces.
Mm. Wow.
The door.
Wow. I love that. I love that, Tina. That is so beautiful. So
Yeah,
beautiful.
that was great, Tina. And I want to say my condolences to your daughter's
Yes.
father.
Thank you. It gave me peace to feel that.
Yes. Yes. My condolences as well. And I understand. I've experienced that myself, and so I know exactly what you're talking about. I do. It's something that it's you never you know that they're no longer here, but the memories they stay with you forever, you know, and it's those special people, you know, that made impacts in your life. At least for me, I hear their voices. I hear them talking to me and telling me things, especially my grandmother, things that she would repeat over and over. You know, back in the day, our people, I think it's safe to say it was a lot of repetition. They would repeat certain things over and over and over and over and over, you know. Remember, don't do this and remember to do that and don't forget this. And so I hear those words often. So thank you. Thank you for that. So I have this little short poem and it's I wrote it because we were talking about voting and how our vote matters more now than ever. Your vote, a whisper turned to a shout, a spark of hope, a casting out doubt. In a world where voices often fade, it's your choice that lights the way. More than ink upon a page, it's the fuel for change, the turning stage. A ripple that grows, a wave so wide, a stand for justice side by side. Now more than ever in times so strange, your vote holds power, a chance for change. A single mark, a steady hand, shapes the future and guides the land. In a world of noise, be clear, be bold. Your vote's a story waiting to be told. Stand tall, be heard, and take your place. For now's the time. Don't hide your grace. The future calls, a nation's plea. Your vote is strength. Your vote is free. More than ever, it's time to choose. A voice united, we cannot lose. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well said.
All right, so who's up next? Go ahead, Mr. Michael.
Okay. This is called Reverie, and it was inspired by looking out the window before dawn one frosty winter morning in Brooklyn, and it goes like this. Serenity before dawn's waking human world disrupts pristine creation. I and my companion share psalms we read aloud, a sacred veil ensuring inner peace. With opened hearts, we rise as sparks and spans of history and time to heed the conscience call. In group pursuits of justice that resonate as ripples, changing something for the better once we've seeded stony fields with hope. Morsel-seeking sparrows skitter on a sidewalk showcase that a frosted pane reveals. Crinkled leaves that fall from breeze-bent boughs alight among the birds to bless them to pursue their day without demands of us, we who seek much from one another amid discordant social sounds. The tangible, ephemeral, impossible inside active human minds and glory dreams, designed to enlarge ourselves in others' eyes as psychic band-aids stuck across our wounded souls. No one skates unscathed through life, yet nature in its cycled seasons offers insights overlooked. The humility of sparrows lingering near leaves, rejoicings among rescue dogs who chance to meet in streets. Such traits would serve us well, matching words with actions, approaching what our species seeks. Plaques in closets show respect for my career, but have I met the sparrow's standard as a man of grace? I lift chocolate-covered French roast coffee to thin lips chapped with age, trusting I'll be ready should God call in mystic night, when from weathered maple desk I'd rise with angels' wings appearing as I flow through ceilings reaching sky. At that incandescent moment, I will breathe in boundless space till portals as phenomena of fantasy disperse who and what I am. Their cleaved heart exudes compassion, nostalgia, ego fade, memory dissolves. The one who is eternal shapes me as if clay, to surf within a light shaft, creasing cobalt skies till I land among the sidewalk sparrows. Yes, there I'll cast my lot as one among them, God's avatar beneath a waking stranger, staring through another frosted pane. Thank you. And that's called Reverie.
Wow, that was beautiful. I love that. I love it. Wow. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate you. I believe we have time for one more, Mr. Warren. Go ahead and take us home. Mr. Warren, are you there? Let's see if he can hear me. Okay, he's not responding. Okay, anyone else want to say one last piece?
Yes, I'll say one last piece before I start my workshop.
Okay, go ahead, Kristen. Thank you.
Okay. 1 second, let me just find it. 1 second. Oh, let me just grab it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Ooh. Oh, here it is. It's a short piece, but
Okay.
it goes like this. Police trudge beyond oceans of red fluid, invoking tears of autumn goddesses. So it's just a few lines, but it was like It was a poetry prompt that I found on Instagram, and I just, wrote something about it, and it had like these. I had words like, police and trudge and beyond, but I put all the words together and made it into like a short poetry piece.
Nice. Nice. I like that. I love your creativity.
And with a vital topic, of course, too, in policing.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Nice. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much. This has been an amazing show, and I just am so grateful for all of the super talented poets that came on tonight. Your voices are resonating throughout our communities, and as each poet sort of mentioned, go get out there and cast your vote. Our country, our democracy is at stake. We have to show massive numbers in voting. So, for our future is at stake. We need change. And so I thank you all for joining us this evening. And we will be returning back for our next show in December. I believe that date is December 5th, and I will just confirm that. Actually, December 6th is our next show. So we look forward to seeing you then. Poets, if you can, I have your email, but if I don't have your website or books or anything like that, please include that in the chat. And I will send you a newsletter for those of you that are listening live. You can reach out to the Poets Lounge at gmail.com. And I believe that's all we have for tonight. So thank you all for your attendance, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you all. Also, too, I put my the link to my workshops in the chat too. So if anybody wants to copy it and it's in the chat too.
Okay, thank you for
Thank you,
that.
Christen.
Thank you,
Paulette,
Christen.
thank you so much. Warren,
Yes.
Tina, it's a pleasure, believe me.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and sign us off for live.